Yo guys, Jack Gardiner here. Hope you enjoyed that little mini track at the beginning there. Let me know if you think I should turn that into a full song. It was a ton of fun to put together. But anyway, today we are checking out the brand new Morgan amp suite from Neural DSP. Now this is one which had me super excited when I found out these two were collaborating together. Why? Well, there's an amp type in here that is by far one of my favorite amps to actually play, and that is the AC20, which is based off of a Vox AC30, just way more reliable than the original one with some extra bells and whistles. But if you are a lead player that really likes to play around with your dynamics, this amp is an absolute must. Any of the videos you've heard me using just the quad Cortex, I'm tending to use a capture of a similar amp, or like a Marshall type sound, maybe even some train wreck sounds. But essentially this AC30 or AC20 in the Morgan amp range is basically my favorite amp to kind of play through. Why though? Well, essentially it's super touch dynamic responsive. I guess that's the word to say. I know those tend to be a load of buzzwords, but essentially depending on how hard I dig in, the more gain and bite I can get. This plugin, to me, out of all of them, I'm going to say it on record, you can slate me if you want to, but I'm going to say this feels the nicest to me anyway. And I can get really expressive with it just by controlling how hard I'm hitting, really. So I would say this is an amp I'm very, very excited to show you. One fun story about the AC30, I remember one of the very first sessions I actually did in the real world was down at Parr Street Studios in Liverpool. It's where they've recorded like Coldplay and stuff like that. But I came vastly unprepared, like I had like a crappy, cheap amp, I won't say the name. But I turned up and the producer was basically like, no, dude, we've got Status Quo's AC30 in here. You need to play through this and I'll open up. They had a plate reverb inside. I was like, oh, come on then, let's give it a go. And I absolutely hated the thing. Could not stand it. It's taken me all these years to realize just how wrong I was. This amp is absolutely killer. It's one which, yeah, I could play with all day. But enough of me jibber jabbering. Let's walk through what we've got in here. So my favorite one, the AC20. We have the PR12, which is kind of like I guess like a Princeton, it's that Fender or American sound, really. Super clean, really pretty. And then it's SW50R. Now, I think this is based off of kind of like a Dumble style amp. I could be totally wrong, but that's what it looks and feels like to me. You can get kind of gainy sounds out of it. I wouldn't say high gain at all, but there is definitely enough on there for most kind of rock, modern styles of playing. And that pretty much sums it up in terms of the amps. I'm just so glad that we've got this based on these specific models, similar to the Tone King and stuff. It's nice to have that in the mix with the Neural DSP plugins. Anyway, in terms of pedals in front, this time we've got a compressor, really good for that funk kind of stuff, and maybe some of the, I'll call it Instagram guitar. Then we have a Tube Screamer type overdrive, more like, the Boss type overdrive, I'm going to guess. And then we have a tremolo in there, which is really cool. In terms of, speakers and mics, IRs, tons of different combinations, all the usual suspects, ribbon 121s, things like that. We have the EQ over here, which is really nice for really dialing in your tone. Sometimes around 2 to 4K can get a bit fizzy with these styles of amps, so we can pull that out if we need to. And then there's a delay, which is like a tape echo type thing. You've got the tape drive on there, width control, and a reverb, which is just really handy to have in the plugin. There's also the transpose, there's the gate, which we've seen before, and there's the doubler if you so desire. But anyway, I just want to show you the default sound then when you load up the plugin. It might change by the time this actually releases, but this is really cool. This is just the SW50R, super dynamic. Check out this. really cool just as a basic startup, I guess. Now, let's move on then to some of my presets I've created for this. So we'll start at the top. I've called this Double Stop Funk. And essentially, you can get the idea. I'm going for a kind of Corey Wong / modern funk style, using that Princeton amp with the compressor on in front, and then no reverb and delay. I think the reverb might actually just be coming from the amp here, but let's check this out. Really, really cool. You can hear that compressor, if I turn it off, is basically giving us that sound. You know, all of the tone is coming from the compressor there. Turn it back on. It's not dynamic, but for the funk stuff, really, you don't want that. You know, a lot of the old school things were recorded direct into a desk with just a compressor on the top. It gives you that lovely sound. Can also work for a lot of the modern stuff, I guess, the selective picking and stuff like that. Because you've got so much compression there, it's really making every single note pop out, and that's what we want, you know, a bit more of that. So I called it Double Stop. Really, really fun. Don't know what I'm playing today, but let's move on. So the next one, I've called this Favorite Breakup Lead, and this is definitely one of my favorite sounds. I'm using that AC20, super easy in terms of its control, you know. I've got the bright switch engaged, and then I've got the tube screamer in front, not really giving me any drive, just a little bit of a boost. Let's hear this. Super responsive to that right hand. Let me roll down the volume there and I've almost got a clean tone. Roll it back up and go onto that humbucker, which has got loads of output. Absolutely glorious sound, and that is one which I am definitely going to be using quite a lot. This next one I've called Hube, I nearly said, Ambient Wash, and it's that Fender type amp using loads of reverb and delay and the compressor. It's basically the first sound you heard at that demo track at the beginning there. Check out this. Absolutely glorious sounding, perfect for, you know, pad sounds, or, you know, if some of you out there are into that whole worship thing, then, you know, that is one of those tones I hear them using quite a lot. I think it's glorious, super clean, super washy. Okay, so let's check out another one then here. So I've called this mid boost lead, and really what I was thinking of here is, like, you know, players like Guthrie back in the old JTC days. It's that kind of sound that I'm going for. I've got the OD2 on here that's giving me quite a lot of gain into the clean amp. Is there anything weird going on? No, just reverb and delay, and nothing's being cut in the EQ. Let's check out this. I think I might just be peaking a little bit there, so I'm going to bring the output down just a tiny bit, but let's check out this. Basically hear the sound that I'm trying to go for there, and it's coming mainly from the fact that this is a great pedal platform amp in real life, and then, you know, it's taking that distortion in front. Just loads of fun to play with. Again, the way it responds to dynamics is just superb. It feels the best to me out of all of them so far, and I don't say that lightly. It's definitely one of my favorites. Check out the last preset then here. I've called this Shred Clarity Lead, and really what I'm hoping for here, it's that AC20 with everything timed except the volume, I guess. Bright switch on, and I think the low cut's engaged. I've got the Tube Screamer actually doing a bit of drive in front of this, and then reverb and delay. But essentially, this one, I want the pick attack to stay preserved no matter how shreddy I get. Let's check out this. Non-floating bridge doesn't really work. You can hear there, I mean, it's designed for shred. I'm playing a lot of notes here, but hopefully you can still hear the clarity of those notes. You know, it doesn't sound like a jumbled mess, which can sometimes go on with certain lead sounds. I mean, it's quite toppy, which is not for everyone, of course, but I really like that. I think it just helps with the definition of the notes, really. And as well, again, typical trick, I can roll down the volume and check out this. Back up. Absolutely glorious. I could honestly play with these sounds all day. I mean, just for fun, let me go back to that favorite breakup lead and just give you an example of mixing chordal playing with this. You know, you could use this in a rock sense if you wanted to play this kind of stuff. Even some of maybe the other things like... You can get kind of rocky with it, but then also you get this whole same idea. You know, maybe even to this kind of idea. Even cleaner. Honestly, could play with that all day. So, in conclusion, I would say this is an absolute must if you are one of these players that really enjoys the touch and the feel of a real amp, but want that in plugin format. And maybe you're into more of the more modern lead sounds, you know, where we can play with our dynamics. Maybe you like players like Eric Gales, Andy Timmons. These are all my favorite types of dudes. All the way through to, you know, like Guthrie and people like that. This amp suite absolutely nails it. So a big congratulations to Morgan Amps and to Neural DSP for this fine plugin. I think this is maybe my new lead sound go-to plugin. What do you guys think? Let me know down below in the comments. Love to hear if you're interested in this one. And don't forget, there is always a 14-day free trial of these where you can check out these presets. They will be inbuilt under my name in the artist section there, so you can check them out for yourself. My name is Jack Gardiner. Until next time, guys. Cheers.